Did you something?
Hang on, my darn headphones disconnected right in the middle of the intro, so I had to get them reconnected. I tell you, I wish I could get some equipment to quit. Like,
Did you
oh,
something?
hang on, my darn headphones disconnected right in the middle of the intro. Oh, I had it playing up there above us. All right, can you hear me now? Everything working? Guys,
You done with your gremlins?
whew. Well, I had the live open. I was reading the comments that everybody had, and I didn't realize it. And it was buried amongst a bunch of other screens. I need like 9 more monitors to keep up with everything in here. And it's been one. It's been
Sure,
one of them
9 monitors
days.
would be good for you.
It's been one of those days too. So, well, apparently we had some comments coming in at like way earlier. So everybody that's here, thanks for joining us. And I'm just going to scroll through. I'm not going to call everybody out because it's getting to where that takes like 30 minutes to do. And I know y'all would rather hear Steve talk about what a great, wonderful week he's had this week before we do all that. I see all of the usuals, and if you're joining us, I'm glad you chose to. Tonight we will be drawing somebody's name out of the hat for that guy right there. I packed as much swag and merch as I could in the box. And I don't know if he's here or not, but Brian, if you're here, Klein signed the box for you. So Klein said he was going to sign the box just for Brian, since Brian's his #1 fan. But yeah, I packed it. You can see that it is bulging.
I was gonna say it looks like it's busting at the seams there.
It took 3 of us to get it to close up to tape it. I had Bill and Klein to like hold the box together, and then I applied the tape, and I put several rounds of tape on there to make sure it stays. So hopefully it won't split open in transit. So, but yeah. How is everybody? Good evening. It's been a long day, guys. I know I look like I've been rode hard and put up wet, and it's because I have. So it's been one of those days. I was out here starting on stove covers, and I get a text message from Brandy saying there's water in the laundry room coming from somewhere. And so had to shut down operations here and go inside. It turned out that the freezer in the laundry room, for some reason, had the bottom of it, underneath the bottom of it, had turned into a really massive block of ice. And so that big, massive block of ice under the freezer was defrosting and generating water. I don't know if it's a problem with the thing or if it's just we hadn't defrosted it in a long time or what. But anyway, we needed a bigger one for when the garden starts producing. So Brandy got an upgraded freezer for inside the house. It's about twice the size of the one we had. It's a stand-up. And I got me, which I've been needing, the small one out of the house, and I've got it back here in the lean-to. I had to run a power circuit for it and everything. I've got it plugged up, and I have somewhere now to freeze my frames so that I can keep the varroa and varroa mites and the wax moths off of my frames after I get the honey out of them. So it's a win-win, but it was an unexpected job today to do all that. So yeah, big old mess. So how about your week? Has your week been any better than mine has so far?
I don't know. I feel like I haven't been out here much at all, possibly since last live stream. So no, not workshop wise. Didn't even get the editing done on the video I was working on. So it's been kind of quiet on that front. You know, a lot of things going on at work. And had some house projects that we've been talking about, and wanted to wait for nicer weather so we could open up windows as needed, and we don't want to wait till it's hot in the summer. So this is kind of prime time to be doing those. So my wife's been taking the lead on that, but I'm trying to make sure I'm helping out, pitching in, getting that done, because part of it is I hate living amongst a house project. You know, it just
a work in progress.
Yeah, it's all those things have a bad way of just dragging out if you don't just kind of keep on them and get them done. So trying to keep that on task, trying to keep that moving. And actually yesterday I did get a chance, I drove up to the Twin Cities. There's some other content creators that I'm friends with, that they all have CNCs and lasers of different varieties. But they had a meetup at the Burnsville Rockler, and I decided to run up there and hang out with them. And then we went to lunch afterwards for a bit, and then a couple of them had to
Cool.
catch their flights back to Kentucky and Michigan, and so it was kind of a fun day of just hanging out with a few people.
Yeah, because Rockler had their event up there, didn't they?
Well, that was a week ago, and they've been having
Oh, okay.
their 30-year anniversary. So the Burnsville store had it a week before this, and I think the Maplewood store was the week before that as well. So yeah, they've been kind of doing the round robin on some of those. This one they just organized a meetup with these guys because they've done some videos with Rockler and as well. Now,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, the Burnsville, Minnesota Rockler is where they have the outlet center, and that's where all the returns come
Mm.
from, like the mail order stuff. And your drill press or your freestanding drill press jig.
Yeah.
There are quite a few of those in the return pile, and
Huh.
they were marked down to
Perimeter
about
alert. Delivery box.
$145. But they also had
Hmm.
50% off everything in the outlet section. So people
Wow.
people are snagging those up. It's like $75 a piece, which is
Yeah,
a
because I
ridiculous
paid
deal
way
for that.
more than that for mine.
Yeah, it
Uh,
goes for like $200. So
But I will say that ever since I've gotten it, I haven't had to re-drill any of my holes for the handles on the stove covers, and that was
nice.
the reason I got it. I mean that thing makes it so much better, and I've got 7 to do tomorrow, and so I'm gonna be breaking it out and using it again tomorrow because I was gonna do them today. Like I said, I went as far as got the wood out, got it marked, and was walking to get the skill saw when Brandy texted me, and then
Yeah.
it was just derailed from there. But hopefully I'll get, since I've got tomorrow off and I don't really have any plans to go anywhere, I'm going to try to get 7 of them done tomorrow. I did manage today to do the 4 cutting boards that I needed to get done. So I've got those done, but I just got to get my stove covers done. Mark, I'm gonna be honest with you, in the shop, if you're wanting a monitor to use, but you're limited with space and stuff, if you see the TV over there by the CNC, that's just a Roku TV that I use a HDMI input to use it as a monitor, but it's a 1080p television, and I think it may even be a 4K. I'm not sure, but those things are cheap, affordable, and the cool thing about it is not only does it work as a monitor, but it has built-in speakers that are decent, unlike most monitors, as well as you can put, Hulu, Max, YouTube, and all the apps on it. You can also set it up to just do a slideshow. It's pretty versatile. I do have one Spectre gaming display that I use to do my video editing because you want the color to be right when you're editing. But my other one is just a little cheap Dell monitor, and I've got a 2 stack going. But if I only needed one monitor in the shop, that one works great because it's like a 32-inch television. So it's big enough you can use it as a TV or as a display. And it's probably cheaper than a 32-inch monitor would be.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you need
Low
crazy, like
latency.
you say, the color match or a crazy refresh rate. Most
Perimeter alert. Delivery
32 to
box.
40-inch smart TVs are a
Yeah.
pretty good deal for a monitor, and put it on your wall, maybe a little bit further away. But
Yeah, and you can pick up at Walmart one of those little swing arm mounts, which is what that's on, for
Mhm.
little or nothing, and mount it, and you could swing it and turn it. If you like, I use that one to watch Steve on a lot of times when I'm working in the shop. Uh, but now I do have a pretty good sound system on my computer, so sometimes if I'm listening more than I'm watching, I'll put it on the computer so I can Bluetooth it to my headphones that I wear in the shop. But yeah, you can't. It's hard to go wrong with those Rokus, especially if you catch them on like a Black Friday sale or something like that. I mean, you can pick those things up pretty cheap.
yeah, yeah, I like the is it Android TV or Google TV? I've gotten a couple of those. They work pretty well and tend to have pretty decent speakers on.
Yeah,
So, and they're not the expensive, Vizio and other things. But
yeah, because in a shop environment, in my opinion, the less cabling, such as speaker wires and USB power for speakers, that you can have, the better. And using a TV like that, like I said, they just come with a lot better speakers in them than a typical monitor. wood. But yes, guys, we will be giving the thing today away tonight. I figured about halfway through we'll do the drawing. I've got everything set up. That way everybody can get here if there's somebody that hadn't made it yet. I did send out an email. I don't know if most of y'all should have gotten it. I upgraded my website a little bit because, as you know, when I first started out, I got the website, but I got the bare bones, most affordable package that I could get. And now I'm kind of migrating up a little bit. I upgraded it to the next phase, which allows me to be able to send out, emails, notifications, newsletter type things. I'm not going to wear that out. You may get one a month from me. So if you didn't get the email, then make sure I'm not going to your spam folder. But I will be sending out some stuff periodically if there's something interesting or whatever. But it's not going to be like every day because I don't have time for that. It'll probably be about maybe once a month. If there's anything interesting going on, or if we're going to be doing events somewhere. When Steve and I get ready to go to Workbench Con this next year, that'll kind of be my outlet for letting everybody know where we're going, so that if anybody misses it on the YouTube or the Facebook page, you can get it there. Now, Brian, not a celebrity, but I did need another means of accepting payment from some of my local customers. And my local customers, a lot of them use PayPal to pay me, but I've got a couple of businesses that prefer to use credit cards and not go through PayPal. So in order to get it to where they could pay me through my website, that was where I needed to be as well. So it was two birds, one stone. I get email marketing as well as a point of sale. So that way, instead of having to go through QuickBooks and them charging me this big fee for using credit cards, now I can do it through my website, and it's a little more economical on my part. So yeah, I've got Square also, but I don't ever use it. I've got payment through QuickBooks. I've got Square as well as PayPal, and now a portal on my website. So, but yeah, no, it's got to where the revenue coming in and not having to fool with checks is really convenient. So that's why I like PayPal with some of my individual customers. But the businesses, of course, they don't usually deal with PayPal. So I needed another outlet for that as well. But anyway, Ozark, Alabama, Mr. James Richards. Hello, sir. New name. Hadn't seen him around, I don't guess. If I have, I forgot. And don't be surprised if I did forget. Brian said it is your tomorrow, so the drawing has already happened for me. Brian's a day behind. Now we're gonna do that here shortly, guys. I don't wanna do it too early. I wanted everybody to kind of get a chance to get in here and get settled in before we do that. So, but we need some more questions. If you got questions, we'd like to answer a few instead of just rambling. If you prefer rambling, we're good at that too. Fort Myers, Florida. Mark Scrutzy? Yeah, I probably messed that up.
Yeah, accepting payments is always a tricky one as far as the balance of what works for you and what works for your customers. Luckily, a lot of them. I mean, I've sent out invoices through PayPal that they can pay either with an account or a credit card. So there are ways to do it, but making it easy and streamlined is sometimes worth spinning up something different or whatnot. And that's something every business has to kind of make the decision for themselves. But you always find someone who goes, I don't like that method. And so you never want to just bank all on one. But
yeah,
checks are the worst.
Well, my biggest customers, unfortunately, are corporate, and so check it is. I send them an invoice. Now, I will say their turnaround time is pretty good because usually if I send them an invoice within a week to 2 weeks, I'm either getting the check in the mailbox or having to go to my local place and pick it up. And I don't know why they can't stick with the same mode of delivery, but it's like 1 week it's in the mailbox, the next week, hey, we got a check up here for you. I've actually got one I got to go pick up now, but I was going to wait and pick it up when I took these new stove covers in. But yeah, trying to find questions. There's a whole bunch of people in here, and a whole bunch of comments. And guys, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Give us a little shout on that. Me and Steve both have our goals. Now is starting to be the time of the year where we will actually see some positive growth, hopefully, in our business as far as the YouTube stuff and everything. Because this first 3 or 4 months has been a little rough. And anybody that's in the digital marketing or the digital media outlet will tell you the first 3 or 4 months of the year can be a little taxing.
Yeah.
It'll make you question everything you're doing because you're like, what am I doing wrong?
So here's a question
Hey.
that dropped
Oh,
in and you just bounced it away.
my bad. What was the question?
There you go. David is asking, have you ever seen or tested the Tyvek Spider X1S laser? It was a Kickstarter project a couple years ago. Its features like no other laser on the market. It's a 20-watt diode laser. Second part of that is the twist is its length can be adjusted up to 2,000 millimeters. It can also cut and engrave without any aluminum extrusion rails, rollers on both ends of the Y carriage, and able to roll along any level.
Yeah.
I've seen their advertising. I haven't gotten my hands on one or seen one in person or really talked to anyone that's had one. I've played with a few lasers that have like the roller bit. You had one, I forget what it was called.
I've still got it.
And then
The
you know, like,
Swore or whatever.
yeah, I in theory, yes, it would work great, but anytime it's, you know, whether it's rolling across a material or even the feed through roller things you're seeing with X Tool and We Create and others, anytime you got rollers and material involved, you have the chance for it to not grip right, and then it's going to adjust. You know, you could lose. It'd be like losing steps on your normal machine. So, in theory, it sounds really cool. In practice, I'd be curious how long it works well that way versus maintenance of, you know, the rollers and dust on the project and such. So, no, I don't, and then that's not to say I have an opinion on it one way or another. I just, from my experience dealing with rollers on other things, feeding material through, it's cool until it stops working right, and then it starts giving you issues. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Good. Well, they're using a lot of the same technologies that's in, like paper printers. Basically, you've got a roller that is built and designed to enhance friction, and it works pretty good in printer applications because one, the stack of paper, the paper is clean. There's no oils on the paper. There's no dust on the paper. But even those, periodically, you have to have somebody come in and clean those rollers in those printers. Being in IT and having to have those guys come clean printers, me and Steve both are familiar with how that works. I have an ID card printer at work, and you have these little sticky wheels that is basically like a lint roller that's inside there that cleans the card before it goes into the system. So, me personally, I do have one machine that uses that same technology. It basically has 4 rollers, 2 on each side, and it rolls, and it'll do some pretty cool stuff 8 out of 10 times. But like you said, you get that one little slippery spot, like a knot on a piece of material or a little bit of dust gets on those wheels and it slips. Now, if you're going so far, what's only a thousandth of an inch here, by the time you get to the other end of the board, it's like a whole inch. So yeah, I'm scared of those with, as far as having it be my only machine that I have to use all the time. I'd be a little worried about it. They had sent me an email asking me if I'd be willing to try one out, and I told them I'm not against it, that I would be willing, and then I just never heard back from them. So it's not something that I'm going to go out and buy because until I can try it out, and like you said, just kind of run through the paces and see what its faults are. I'm not going. It's
Yeah.
just not worth it to me. It's too big of a gamble. I've got machines that can do everything I need to do, and if I need something done that's 10 foot long, I'll go up there and get the swore down. That big rolling monstrosity. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if they made tracks for them so you could lay it on the floor and actually have like a track that was maybe taped or glued, stamped to the floor temporarily, I would feel a lot better about it. But just like the belts on these machines are slotted to make sure that they don't slip, you can't slot your material and have a gear going back and
Well,
forth in it.
so the Tyvek is similar to that, in that it does have tracks it rolls along.
Oh, does it?
Yep. But so it's kind of powering the wheels in those tracks and such, from what I understand. So it's better than some of the ones we've seen, but I still, anytime you're relying on gravity and friction versus a
Yeah.
tensioned gear mesh, that's where I just get um the wear and tear and how well it's going to run. So but yeah, that's the thing, is I haven't, other than some of their brief advertising on it, I haven't seen a kind of a standalone review on it to see how a non marketing person gets gone with it.
Yeah. Well, congratulations there, Saltbox. We're glad to have you. The more, the merrier. Like I said, we have this little session about I think we've done it every week so far. We haven't missed a Sunday in a long time. Even when I was about to die from my back pain, uh, I managed to medicate enough to get through those. So we've done pretty good. I'm trying to catch through these comments. If you see another question, throw it up.
Kevin Rich is asking, can CO2s engrave on metal? And if you get a really high powered CO2, you'll be able to have more interaction with some metals. But your typical hobby grade CO2 can't engrave metal at all. It can it can change. It can mark stainless steel, much like diodes would. And then if you use the laser marking spray like Surmark or Brilliance or some of the other things like that, you can fuse that to the metal, much like a laser printer does with paper, to add a marking, but you can't add depth to it with it. So it's going to have similar limitations to the diodes, where it doesn't interact with a lot of them without that extra um, the extra spray to act as a binder. But if you're really looking to engrave, you're wanting to get into the fiber lasers for working with metals.
Sam said we are a couple of rambling men.
Yeah. Bob Weir's asking, what are my thoughts on the Thunder lasers? Have I looked at them? I have looked at them. Matter of fact, I was just having a conversation with some of my friends this weekend, as they all have had various lasers. And my friend Chris down in Florida with A Glimpse Inside actually just recently added to his arsenal with a very large Thunder laser. It's got over a 60-inch wide bed, so he can deal with almost full sheets of Baltic birch on that. I think they're one of the they're a pretty decent company to work with. They've got a nice range of lasers, so they're not, they've got fibers, they got CO2s, they got RF benchtop styles to bigger ones, and they definitely add a lot of features. They're not just necessarily a rebranded Chinese laser. I haven't dealt with them directly. I haven't heard any people that I know say, yeah, support dropped the ball or support was really great. So that's the big question with any of these, is what type of pre-sales or post-sales support you can get. But I'm starting to find more and more people that I know that have had more of those interactions with Thunder, and so hopefully we'll see more of that. But they definitely would be someone I would look at. Now your friend at the trophy shop does have one, right?
Yes, and I actually get to run the Thunder pretty regularly because he calls me in for training sessions with some of the new employees, and because they're used to the old machine that they had, and it ran on totally different software. So Lightburn is totally new to them. So like the other day, they had a tumbler job they had to set up, so I had to go by and kind of show them how to set the tumbler up, and we did a couple of test burns just to get their feet under them and let it go. But yeah, the Thunder that he's got is the 30-watt RF. It's a bolt, and it doesn't really. I mean, for a small machine, it does a really good job, but it doesn't have a very big work area. So if you're wanting to do like big stuff, then you would probably want to get a little bit bigger machine. But most of what they do is trophy plates, tumblers, little cutting boards, just small stuff that you could do in, say the P2. I mean, it's about the same size. I think the Thunder may actually, didn't we decide the Thunder's bed's a little smaller than the P2?
It's 20 by 12. so a little bit narrower.
Yeah, but the smaller stuff that they do is perfect for what they do because it didn't take up a whole lot of space. They still have the old CO2 laser that they can use if they have anything that's bigger that won't fit in there. So, but I like it so far. The tumbler, the chuck was a roller rather, was a little more than what I was used to. It took me a minute to kind of get it operational because it didn't come fully assembled. Like you had to add parts to it and adjust it for the machine. And it took me a little bit, but once we got it set up, it ran really well. The only thing that we wound up having to do was build a jig so that you could square the rotary because it has magnets to where it six of the honeycomb. But we had to build a jig to where we could use the rear of the machine to kind of index it to make sure it was square with the gantry. But other than that, once we did all that, it ran really good. So I'm not against them.
So Kyle's asking, what inline duct fan do you suggest? And is it feasible to use one duct fan for multiple engravers? And we both have videos on our, I think you have a video that touches on your
Yeah.
fan
And
too.
you'll be proud of me. You'll be proud of me.
You cleaned it up there. Nice.
I added an assist fan. I bought the 4-inch Vivor and I put it about a foot from where it goes out the wall. So now the MK2 doesn't collect near the smoke as it did before, because of my hose that I've got ran there.
Very
So.
nice. And I have a video I put out a couple months ago on laser exhaust, and I am running multiple machines on it. And it's a 6-inch fan from Han Guan. They are on Amazon, and it works pretty well to pull. Now I have it throttled down to 4-inch pipe, and then I have blast gates that I can open and close on each laser. But I have run both the P2 and the S1, or the P2 and the Lasermatic off of it at the same time. And in that video, I talk about some of the things to keep in mind to keep your airflow moving efficiently. Not having a lot of bends and flexible hosing, trying to use rigid pipe as much as possible. Eliminating your bends, your turns, and everything as well. So definitely check that out. But the Viva fan, the Han Guan, and then down in the basement, I have the other kind I can't remember right now, but there's another brand I'll look up real quick that I've had good luck with them all.
Yeah. Well, this little setup right here, and this is a picture that Bill sent me of his setup after we got his second enclosure put together the other day. He's running the 6-inch Vivor, and he put blast gates on it. What he wound up doing is he's got a 4-inch coming into it with a 6-inch outlet going outside his out of his little window insert. And he said he's not having any problems running both of the machines at the same time using that fan. So he's got blast gates on the front of his machine also that he uses to kind of control the flow of the air through there. And so he hadn't had any problems with his.
Yeah.
But now he's only running it, I think maybe 12 feet is his longest run. He's only got 2 bends the way he's got it laid out.
Mm-hmm. The other one I've got is the AC Infinity Cloudline 6-inch fan. And all of them are variable speed. They come with one has just a dial knob. The other one has a button. I actually like the dial knob better, so it's easier to just kind of turn it on. I mean, honestly, I could just change it with a full on and off switch, but
Yeah.
I use that to try to get my CFM up. You can get the 4-inch ones in your, for a single enclosure, I find you need, a good 175 to 200 CFM to really move the smoke through. And then that's also going to depend on your how you're piping it out. Like I say, if you have your flexible hosing and it's bending up and down and curled up and tied in a knot, it's not going to be as efficient as if you cut it as short as you can and have it as straight as you can. So you can definitely get some 4-inch variants, but I would try to get as much CFM out of the fan as you can. Some of them are down as low as under 100 CFM on up to, I've seen around 200 CFM on the 4-inch ones. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the biggest thing I would look at in those, as well as just, check out the reviews from wherever you're buying it from. Some of them, I haven't found a fan yet that you don't have to kind of go back and add a little extra sealing tape to, just to make sure it's not leaking air.
I've had good luck with the Vivor so far. so far. But now,
I think you probably notice it less in your shop than if you're like doing it in your
yeah, I was fixing to say, now I'm not
basement.
in my in a house or anything, but and my fan too is mounted only like 3 foot from the exit. So
Hmm.
enclosure Zilla, the whole run of my piping is 4 foot. Like there's a 2 foot section that goes from the enclosure to the fan, and then 2 foot that goes from the fan out the wall. And I do have it choked down to 4 inches. I'm probably going to wind up upgrading that one and go ahead and try to use the whole 6. But that was something that I didn't want to do in the beginning. But now that I've cleaned the honeycomb and everything, I think I'm gonna be better off. But it was getting a little hectic the other day. But then I was like, you know what? This probably because my honeycomb is solid black. But yeah, Will's asking about light colored Yetis. I don't like Yetis as much. One, because they're so expensive to practice with. Uh, that's the main reason, is because I don't want to buy a $40 cup to burn up, because I always get extras. If I was going to do, if somebody wanted a Yetis, there would be a minimum number they'd have to order to justify me wasting one for a setup. I have had people that would be like, "Hey, just use your best guess, and I don't care, if it ain't quite right." And I've been lucky, and I've got them to where it actually was decent looking. But it's the reason is because I would just look at it and go, "Okay, it needs more heat," and run it again, and eventually get it right. But Yetis are tough. Yetis, some of the Stanley stuff is really tough. I try to stick with the ones I get from Amazon, because they consistently give me good results, and my cost for testing is relatively low. Uh, but white tumblers, I will tell you this: if you're wanting to do an image on a tumbler, white's the best color to use, because you can actually shade it to where it looks like you kind of drew on it with a pencil or something, if you find the right settings. But there again, you've got to test to find all those settings. Lakeside. I have been asked about this, and according to ASMR, I am on their list to be testing it out once it gets like released, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I don't ever count those until they show up. But they did tell me that they do want to work with me on the ASMR P3 and let me test it out. And I think it would be a really cool machine. Some of the ways that they've kind of changed the way the steppers are mounted, and they've reinvented the way that everybody does belts. I think that's pretty cool. ASMR has been doing some pretty good like upgrades, and some of the technology that they're doing, the little things that they do actually makes a big difference. So I'm kind of curious to see this machine and get to see what's under the hood. They've been dropping these little teaser videos, but I want to actually get my hands on one.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. So I would love to, like you say, it sounds like you're on the list. So hopefully we'll get your impressions of it. It'll be
Oh yeah.
interesting to see.
Mm.
Well, I'm sure this will be asked a few times. Oh, we must have clicked on
I was gonna
something.
say, I think we hit the exact same one. Yep.
Uh, yeah, I mean, this seems to come up a lot. They've reached out to both of us about it, but part of what they asked us to do was to create a lot of the promo videos like you're seeing around,
Yeah.
where you don't get to see much, and or they told us, hey, they're delayed, but do you want to, maybe you can make a video with some of our stock footage. And I think I can speak
Yeah.
for both of us, we don't like to do that. I don't like to talk about a laser that I haven't been able to test and verify things on. So does that mean we will see one later? I don't know. They asked us to be part of their marketing campaign, and we said, well, thanks, but no thanks. We'll test the laser when you have it out. So hopefully we still see them, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a video out there saying this is the greatest thing since sliced bread when I haven't even seen any more than what you've seen. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
we're at on it right now.
Yeah. I don't really care for it, and like I said, to each their own. But I really don't care for it when they want you to take a machine and they want you to tell everybody how great it is, and say that it does this and it does that, like you said. And I haven't got hands on it yet. Like you said, they were asking, hey, could you use some of this, or could you do a teaser with that? it just wasn't something. And like I said, I wasn't. It's not a machine that I'm just dying to get my hands on either. I'm not sure how it's going to fit in the world of lasers. It's a little bit too big to be portable to an extent, but it's not uh, strong enough to be like rivaling anything else that I have in the shop. So it's kind of like it really wasn't worth me taking a chance with it. So if they reach back out and they just want to send me one like they have the rest of the machines and say, hey, take it, use it, do a video with it, I'll be more than glad to. But like you said, that whole pre-release, hey, do these videos before we send it to you, not going to do it. Let's see what else we got.
Here's one. Dennis is asking, is it difficult to build your own CO2 laser, getting the mirrors lined up? Whether you build your own or you buy one, getting the mirrors lined up is something you are going to get really good at or be incredibly frustrated about. So I mean, even the X-Tool P2, they show you like, hey, before you start using this thing, go through this process of aligning the mirrors. There are some tools you can get, and some tubes actually have built into them a red dot addition, which will help kind of bounce the light through without burning the hole and everything. And then American Photonics is a company out of Florida that they have like their reverse alignment tools. So it goes in, you remove the focus lens and you replace it with this aluminum metal sleeve. As a matter of fact, I probably have one here. And then it shines a red dot laser up through. Here it is. So this goes up into the tube, and there's a little red dot centered in there, and it will send the red laser dot backwards through the mirrors, and so you can align them just kind of doing it the opposite method. So the aligning the mirrors is probably not going to be the hardest part of building your own laser if you go that route. But if you do buy one, don't think that it's something you'll never have to learn, because that's probably the number one thing that support's going to ask you when you call them and say, I'm having a problem with my laser. Well, have you aligned your mirrors?
Yeah.
So it definitely having a red dot tool, whether it's integrated into the tube, they have combiner mirrors and lenses that can go on the end, or like I just showed you that tool that does it from the nozzle back to the mirror one. It's just something you kind of learn, and it's really, the first time you do it, it'll probably take you a couple hours, and then you get down to where 5 to 10 minutes you can usually get your laser in alignment.
Yeah, the alignment process, because I can remember the first time I messed up and got the old Monport M40 out of alignment, and it's not that big of a machine, but since then, I got a buddy that's got the big Monport 60 watt. It's a bigger machine, and then I've had to help with we had to test the Thunder as soon as we got it, got it out of the crate and everything, got it set up for my buddy Tim. We had to test the mirrors on it. Now, I will say a lot of these companies, like the Thunder, for instance, and I think even the P2 does it, changing the mirrors, like if you have to pull it out and clean it and put it back, you can do so with the Thunder without messing anything up, because it is held in there with magnets, and it just literally, you take a little set screw loose and pull it out and wipe it down with the little microfiber cloth or the cleaning cloth, and then you pop it back in. So you don't have to maneuver with it as much. That wasn't the case with the Monport. The Monport, you got to kind of get in there with a Q-tip and all that to keep from taking them out. So that's one thing that I would look at, is how do you have to maintain the lenses on those, or the mirrors, because that is one thing that, like you said, you will have to mess with those. The more you run it, the more you're going to have to mess with them.
G2 is asking, is there any chance Lightburn will go Bluetooth anytime soon? Well,
I hope not.
That's going to be a mixture of, the lasers supporting them as well. And I've started to see more of it. And as a matter of fact, let me just grab this book.
Oh, the old LP.
No, the Sculpt Fun, the SFA9, it does have a Bluetooth mode to it. And they have a page here on hooking it up that way. So I was actually just starting to test this because this does have a wireless controller in it where you can either have it in APP mode or connect it to your local Wi-Fi, or you can set it into Bluetooth mode. So I'm going to play with that, see how well it does or doesn't work, and definitely I'll be reporting back on that in my video with it and projects. Uh, but it was kind of interesting to see that they have in the instructions here how to use Bluetooth and Lightburn. So I think you'll start to see some of that. How reliable it'll be will greatly depend on your computer, because some of them have pretty weak antennas in there, and you'll notice with your headphones you get 6 feet away they start having problems. Some of them you can get all the way across your yard or half acre away and they still work.
Yeah.
Wireless always adds a little bit of complexity and in connectivity to it, but
Yeah, and Bluetooth was developed to be a lower power consuming wireless method of connection. It was not intended to be used for anything short of basically like audio output devices. So that if there was a packet or two got dropped in net communications, it wasn't that big of a deal. You might notice a little pop in your audio. Uh, Wi-Fi is a lot more, there's a lot more checks and balances. There's a lot more methods of making sure that stuff makes the trip. And one thing, Steve, that I will tell you that I realized, and I found it out this past week. I've been doing a lot of testing with the new MK2 from Algo Laser. Guess what works on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi as well as 2.4? It actually has two antennas.
very nice.
So not only, because me and you have dealt with them before to where we have 5 gigahertz networks, but the lasers only work on 2.4. Well, the Algo laser, which I am running completely through Lightburn, I haven't connected a USB cable to it since right after I first set it up. I've been running it completely off of Wi-Fi. I did 4 cutting boards on it today. I have had no issues, and it will connect either to my 5 gigahertz or my 2.4, which I run the 2.4 because it's not like I need a lot of bandwidth to communicate with a laser. And 2.4, is a little more dependable as far as signal strength. But that was the very first laser that I've seen that you could actually connect to a 5 gigahertz network, which 5 gigahertz it's really good for, like, I don't know, videos and stuff like that. But when you're just sending G code, I don't see the need. But if you only had a 5 gigahertz network, you wouldn't have to worry about, it not connecting to it.
Yeah, well, and 2.4 is kind of like the old token ring networks. It slows down to the lowest common denominator. So if you have a really slow device on your network, all your devices are going to run that way. So it's nice when you can combine but separate them. This one, it says it's 2.4 only. I have my main network that supports dual band. A lot of devices don't like connecting to those because they'll default to the 5 and give up. But this one did jump on that one when I was testing with it. I still need to get all the bugs worked out of actually connecting to it, but I did get it on the wireless. Was able to ping it, make sure it was live on the network. So
Yeah.
getting there.
Kevin's going to blame me for this one, but he was looking at trying to get something to do metal with, doing knives and some, harder ferrous materials. And I told him that me and you both have the comm marker 20 watt, which has done me a really good job. I've done a lot of work with it. I've used it a lot, haven't had any problems so far. The only problems I've had with the machine are operator errors. And so he was kind of, leaning like he might go get a 20 watt, but he winds up biting the bullet and getting a 60 watt MOPA. And I'm a little jealous. I'm a little jealous. I really do need to get me one, and maybe one day I can when I'm not buying freezers and stuff. But yeah. So I hope you like it, Kevin. Like I said, I will say you're gonna need to go ahead and update your Lightburn license if you don't already have Galvo for it. But the setup process really wasn't bad. I know you didn't have any problems getting your setup to work with Lightburn, did you?
No, not once I bought the right license for it.
Yeah,
You got to upgrade to that Galvo license.
Yeah, but it like I said, I can't find anything wrong with mine. Now I have limited experience with the different Galvos, but as far as consistency and running, and especially in this dusty environment, it has held up really well. Um, I can't complain. You start getting into a 60 watt MOPA, the price is can range tremendously. So,
Hmm.
uh-oh, hobos in the house. Yeah, hobo. I wish they would do like railroad tracks, but instead of like friction, put little teeth in them, kind of like a gear, but a flat gear. But the
Like,
problem is the faster you go, it's going to start trying to hop a tooth. I just don't know that maybe a really long linear screw, but I don't know that there's a good way of making one that's expandable to any length.
so I wanted
Where's
to
it going
find
now?
this link because we're coming up. We're about 15 minutes away from midpoint, and that's when we were going to do
Yep.
the big drawing. And so I'm just trying to pull up. There we go. Your link for this, in case anyone isn't registered for it.
Oh, I done shut that down.
Oh, you did you? Oh, so it's too late. I was going to give him
I
a
think
last
everybody,
call to
I
enter.
think everybody is.
All right.
Because I pulled the numbers or
All
pulled
right.
the names. I
Oh,
had
so
to pull the
you've got
names
it.
off of it. Yeah,
You've got it all
that's
prepped already. Well, all right. So if you're here for the live giveaway, we'll be doing that in just under 15 minutes, about halfway through the show. If you missed it, I am sorry. We will hopefully get you in on some future ones. But if you're here for that, hang on shortly. We're
yeah.
gonna get to that soon. Hopefully you stick around. We do like to answer questions as you see us doing here and talk about stuff. But we know some people will probably have some other things going on this holiday weekend. But
Yeah, I wound up with like 3 different tea glasses today because I kept dropping them off and forgetting where I put them.
so,
Oh.
what are your thoughts on the Genmitsu 4040 Reno CNC?
I liked my little 4040 Pro for a beginner. Now you're limited on what you can do, and it takes time. But if you put the trim router on there, it's just not terrible uh, for a beginner to learn on without having to drop $4,000. It's decent. I made some pretty cool stuff with it. You haven't got that one, but you've got some smaller ones similar, don't you?
I've yeah, so I have Stepcraft D600. It's like their Gen 2. They're on at least Gen 3 now as well. And that's about I think it's about a 14 by 24 or 16 by 24 area, which works pretty well. It has a 500-watt spindle on it. That's or actually maybe it's an 800-watt spindle, but it's decent for a desktop machine running 1/8-inch bits, some 1/4-inch bits. But this is German made and much more overkill than the Reno. Um, the 4040, and I haven't seen them in person myself, but from my experience between you and some of our other friends that have had them, it's a decent beginner one. But I think if you look at the 4040 Pro, it's about what $150 more.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a little more expensive, but they were saying they'd upgraded some things on it. I haven't got to play with it, so I can't verify that. But I know they said that it had some improvements on it.
well, I think they kind of I think it was more of a value series over the Pro. So I'm not.
Oh, was it?
If it were me, I think I'd probably stick with the 4040 Pro over the Reno for 150
Okay,
bucks.
so was the
So
Reno the discounted one? I thought they had changed the controller on it.
there are some minor differences, but I think overall it's meant to be a more of a value one.
Oh, okay.
So it's a
Yeah.
little bit less. Um, Now they did recently come out with their upgrade kits that at least fit the Pro as well. I'm not sure about the Reno, but
Yeah.
for a desktop, especially if you're going to rerun an 1/8-inch bits, I think it's probably the lowest end one I would recommend people kind of jump in with.
Yeah. And you can even get a rotary with it, but that's a whole other can of worms. Pace yourself.
Mhm.
Because I've done some stuff on it, but man, that's a thing. Greg's asking about my my little radius. These help me out when I'm designing stuff because I know like if I'm needing to make something and I want to know what radius it is, I made these. Now you can make them different sizes. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. But like I was doing a couple of projects and I'm terrible at math and I know you can measure it and then okay, whatever. But so I just made these little things just to give me a little cheat so that when I'm cutting tabletops or I'm cutting something, I get an idea Like I could take this and put in there and just find the closest match. Sometimes it's not exact, but that's my little cheat for that. There's probably some tools out there that would make it a lot easier, but that was just a piece of scrap plywood that had a little bit of good left in it, and I used it to make those. And all I did is went in and made a box and used the different radiuses to make the box, and then just like engraved it on the stuff so that, you know, and then just added a key ring to it. So there you go. All right, cool. Craig said he went to a maker's market today and remembered one of my topics. He said he was surprised at how many makers were disinterested sitting in the corner of their booth behind their iPad. That is the killer, guys, and I can't emphasize this enough. I went to another event the other day, and I didn't want to keep beating that dead horse, but there were a lot of folks that were doing just that. They were sitting back there like they had somewhere better to be, and they didn't really. Nothing about that situation drawed me in. It made me want to come up and talk to them. So I'm telling you, sell yourself as far as your personality at these events. Don't concentrate on making sales with people. Just concentrate on trying to make friends with people. If they like you, they're more likely to buy than if you just sit in the corner. You know, if they walk by and you're just sitting over there like this right here, you don't even bother to look up at them. They're not stopping and checking your stuff out. They're going to keep walking. So, and I do have Peach Jam coming up. So June the 8th, y'all, if you're going to be in the Chilton County area, stop by and check us out. I will have some of the orange shirts with me, as well as stickers. Klein's going to be there helping me with the booth unless he stands me up. So you know, it'll be a good day to stop out and get yourself some custom dog tags and stuff, because that's going to be. I just ordered like $200 worth of anodized blanks for the F1. And if you know how much those things cost, $200 worth of anodized blanks is a lot of blanks. But last year I ran out of certain colors, and I don't want to run out of colors this year. So I went on Amazon last week and ordered boxes upon boxes of blanks. I do plan on doing a video before the event to kind of showcase the things that I'm going to be selling. And then I'll do a follow-up video afterwards and let y'all know how it went. And I'm probably going to do like I did last year and set the GoPro up and put it on time lapse at the booth, just to kind of give you an idea of the traffic that it generates. But that's coming up. So probably this next week, whenever my new blanks get here, I'm going to go over what I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to be making some more jigs, because I did order some things that I don't already have. And so I'm going to have to make some more jigs for the F1.
Samuel's asking, what's the name of the website you order from, or acrylic for the enclosure? And that website's JTech Photonics. You want to look under their safety gear. They have a few different sizes. The thing is, you know, if you're ordering for an enclosure, you're probably getting at least the 24 by 12. Shipping will add up. It's pretty cheap to order, you know, a couple sheets at a time, shipping wise, versus just one. So check that site out.
Up, though.
Yeah, I think they had it on sale before. So
yeah,
that's the one that's actually they test it and they put the rating on there for you. So that's one what we've been using and trust.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Bill just ordered him a 12 by 12 the other day. He's like, I don't need that big of a window on this machine, because it's a smaller machine. He got the old Algo laser Alpha. And he's like, I think a 12 by 12 is plenty. I don't want to spend the money. And which I told him, I was like, hey, go ahead and order like 2 or 3 pieces. But he was trying to be on a budget. I used the 12 by 24 pieces just because I like the bigger windows. But his concern was with that enclosure not being that wide that he built, that he wasn't going to have enough support material.
Yeah, the 12 by 12 is still on sale. That's only $17 plus shipping, whereas the 12 by 24 is $50 now. It used to be like 36 or something like that.
I think I paid 33 the last time I ordered, but I ordered like 5 sheets at one time.
Right. Yep. So maybe it'll go back on sale, but for now it's a little more.
Luckily, I got an extra piece. I gave one of my pieces away, but when I tore down the portable clack shack that I had built, I recovered some materials to be recycled.
So you can answer that one?
Which one?
The one you put up on the screen?
Oh, I haven't got to try one out, and I'm pretty sure you haven't either, because I would have heard about it if you had. Some folks seem to like them. The modules a lot of times are very similar. I think a lot of these things are made in the same factory, but I haven't got to lay hands on one of those yet.
Yeah, and the laser tree ones usually the modules they have a few brackets to try to make them compatible with other lasers, so a little less work on your end if that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But,
Trying to find the comments. 7:57. It's getting close.
Yeah, sneaking up on it.
I do need, Chris, I do need to make me like a little air tag holder to put on my cups. That would be nice. I've got them on my keys. Matter of fact, I still got my truck keys in my pocket where I was unloading a refrigerator or a freezer. I got a video of that too. Because y'all know I just had like back surgery not long ago. And so me and Brandy were trying to figure out how the two of us was going to get this big 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide freezer out of the back of the pickup truck. Because the guy used one of those little pallet fork things to put it in there. But we rednecked it up. We went and got the Kubota with the pallet forks on the front of it. I got a piece of 3/4 inch plywood and made us a little we made our own pallet jack. And I'm happy to report we did not drop the freezer in the driveway. So that was good.
Well, hello, Greg, representing Americus, Georgia. I've actually been there a number of times. I was there just a month ago, I think, for the big model airplane event. So I'm very familiar with that area.
Yeah, Daniel says that the 4040 Reno uses belts. Yeah, if it uses belts, I would go with the Pro for sure, like Steve said. Because the Pro did a pretty good job with those little lead screws. I'm still scrolling them. There's a lot of comments tonight, guys. Bear with me.
I'm not sure we touched on this one, but MillMage, which is the CNC software that the people at Lightburn were making. Yeah, as far as I know, that's still kind of kicked down probably till the end of the year at this point. They had hoped to get it out, I think, Q2 this year, but they're going to want to make it sure it's right. And, they got a lot going on even with Lightburn. So I think it's one of those things. We'll see it when we see it, but I don't have any extra information.
Jason said his wife said I'm the reason Amazon is out of stock on everything at the Clack Shack. Like, I guess all the blanks and stuff that are in my store.
Yeah.
But I'm going to add a few more to it once I get to test them. I ordered a couple of different manufacturer types and a couple of different shapes. So once I get to test those, I'll add those too. But I like to at least make sure they work before I put them, like link them to my little Amazon shop. But yeah, anytime you're looking for blanks, like I said, go to my website. I've got all my stuff that'll carry you over to my Amazon shop. Or you can just go to Amazon and search for the Clack Shack. And I have a storefront and I have lists of engravable items on there. Now, keep in mind, some of the stuff may be for a fiber. So you need to know your laser and what it's capable of doing. So if you see brass challenge coins, those aren't intended for a diode. Those are intended for the fiber. So just, you need to know what materials you can do. The acrylic, although you can engrave a lot of it on the diodes, the colored acrylics is primarily in there for people with CO2s. So, Amazon, like I said, Nate, you can go to my Amazon shop. There's links to the ones that I use. They're not really tiny, but they're small and they're lightweight. Even a Chihuahua could wear one and not be too hurt. Oh, yep, and nobody got hurt. I tried getting Brandy to let me do like a full-blown video of going to get the freezer, and she didn't want to do it. So we didn't do it. But I did sneak a few pictures and videos.
Got to get your chest GoPro mount going.
Well, I had my glasses on, so I got a few interesting pictures and videos. I was going to let her drive the tractor, but she's never really took time to sit down and learn how to drive the tractor.
Yeah. Well, we are at 8:01. We are actually a minute.
It's that time. All right, hang on. Let me
into it. So,
all right, here we go. Let me get this turned around over here. All right, going to the screen.
Yeah, it's time to have a freezer giveaway.
Can you see this? Hang on. Can you see the
Yes,
screen
sir.
now? Yes.
Yeah,
you
hold
can
on.
see
Let
it.
me make myself smaller. There we go.
There we go. All right. So all I got to do is hit this little button right here. And this is just a little random generator. And I've took all the email addresses and dropped them in here. So we're going to hit this button and see whose email address drops in. But I'm going to need y'all to hit the like button, please. All right. Y'all
All
ready?
right.
All right.
Good luck, everyone.
Who wants to count it down? 3, 2, 1. Barb Hefners5 at Gmail. Barb Hefners5 at Gmail. Let me take a picture of this. We have to have this documented for posterity so I don't forget who won. All right, make sure my picture did take. All right. If worst case, I can go back and play the video back, I guess. So there we go. I'm praying that is not a robot. I tried to take as many precautions as I could to avoid it being a robot. It sounds like a legitimate email address. It sounds like Barb. Is Barb in the house? Barb, are you here? Let me get my email out. Let me see if I can email her. I'll let you go through the comments and everything while I try to email.
A lot of people saying congratulations, Barb, and so hopefully, so now Clack's going to reach out, and I think you said you were going to give him a day or two to reply, and if you don't hear back,
24 hours.
24 hours. All right, so hopefully they get back to you. If not, you'll draw another name somehow, maybe pop.
Yeah, if that, I don't think that's going to happen because I took as many precautions as I could to make sure that it was actually a legitimate person. So I think we're going to be good. I don't know if this is somebody that typically stays and watches a lot of the shows or if this is somebody new. But either way, I plan on doing more of them, and I know me and you have talked about it, and we want to try to use some of the stuff. If I can keep folks like Bill and Klein and everybody at bay, we want to try to use the the gifts that we get for this to try to give back to you guys. Those of you that maybe you want an upgrade, and we're trying to figure out the best, safest way to do that to not have a bunch of scammers and people trying to take advantage of everybody. So we're working through the logistics of that, but just know that me and Steve are trying to figure that out because we've been turning down these lower end machines and stuff because it wasn't the latest rage. But we were talking about it and we're like, a lot of folks, I know we've got Mr. Norton. Is it Norton? Norton, right?
Norbert.
A couple of the guys in here that are still running 10-watt machines and some of the older 10-watt machines. And so wouldn't mind having those. And so that may be something that we try to do more of, is that when we have something come in, we'll just basically keep the box, keep the package and put it back in there the best we can and go out of there. Now Jason, that's a computer spin. So they're not in any alphabetical order. When I exported them, they're completely random. I promise you.
Yeah, and we're looking at some of the software that we can integrate to actually do some live
Yes.
ones where it's more through people here, the keyword kind of giveaway stuff. But so all that kind of takes setup on the back end, and of course a lot of times money on the back end. But we're definitely wanting to, like Clack said, take some of the things we get and provide them to you, or works with some of the people who want to work with us. We'll maybe ask them like, okay, if you want us to do this, give something back to our community and such. So just spread the love and the wealth around with that, and we'll have more of that to come. So, but definitely thanks everyone for jumped in on this one, and hopefully Barb gets some good use out of this one. It's a nice little laser you saw from your videos, and I've got a couple out with it as well. So.
Yeah, the only thing, one thing that I do want to try to get away from is I hate not being able to ship to other places, especially like, somewhere around, like Mexico, Hawaii, Alaska, Canada. So I'm thinking of trying to come up with a way that we can do it using Amazon as our distributor so that it wouldn't matter where it went. But that's a whole nother a whole nother apple. All right, so I'm gonna send this email address message. Yeah, there were 1,300 and something names in the hat. Like it was a lot of folks. And so the way that I made it, the way that I made it work, with the whole back and forth and everything, which I did run out. My one reason I had to upgrade my email was because the automated emails from my site got maxed out. If so many people were putting in for it, that there were a few people that were kind of later registered that did not get the confirmation, and it wasn't that they didn't, it wasn't received. It was that my outgoing emails for that automated process were maxed out, and that's why one reason why I had to go ahead and update my plan. So and like Steve said, this stuff does cost money, and there's a balance between trying to do something and not spend every penny on it. So we will be changing the streaming software in, I think it's September. We are going to go and try another option for a couple of times to see if it works better, and it does have an integrated giveaway tool built into the live, and that, to me, I like that better as far as being able to do giveaways, because then it's a real person that's in the chat, that's over there. So that's something coming up. Like I said, this was just kind of test the waters. We're still trying to refine the process and figure out how we're going to do it, but we do want to kind of Robin Hood these machines and take them in, rebox them, and then send them back out to you guys. And even if it comes to the point to where we start doing it, by email or something, and have a form that's only accessible from inside the lives. We want to try to make sure that it's our audience and not just random people, but that's hard to do. The FCC does have some restrictions on giveaways and things you can and can't do and all that, and I don't really need them knocking on my door telling me that I violated some kind of federal Commerce Commission's code or something.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with giveaways and raffles. Even state to state, interstate.
Yes, because you can't require purchases, you can't require this, you can't require that. I mean, there's a lot of rules and regulations I had to read up before doing this to make sure I didn't get a nasty gram from the FCC or Google or Facebook or somebody.
Yeah.
If you want to go to my website, there's basically you can sign up, register for the website. And when you do that, it puts your email address in the address book on my website that I use for sending stuff out. So that's the easiest way to get on that list. I've got several lists that I can kind of combine. And if I want to send something out, say if we got something special coming up. But if you'll go to my website, theclackshack.com, and just go over to the right, and let me see if I can show you. Hang on. I actually did some housekeeping on my website, which I don't usually have time to do. But here we go. All right, so if you go to my website right here, this is, it's just basically a link to a whole bunch of different stuff. I do have some pictures that I need to put on there. You can go to this link here. That takes you to my This and That Vinyl page, where they sell the shirts and the hats and all that good stuff. I will be also have some of those with me at the Peach Jam event that we're going to be doing. And then, this is the new payment tab that I set up, which is pretty cool. Designs is where I moved my enclosure designs to, because people keep asking for those. So I put them up here to make it a little easier to find. But if you go here, and you can go to sign in, create an account, or my account, you go to sign in, and you just basically create a login, and it's kind of a members area, but it doesn't cost you anything. It's just, it just basically puts you on the mailing list, as well as gives me your email address so I can send you stuff if I need to. But you can also go to contact, and you can send me messages here directly, or you can use either one of the social media outlets. So that's the website's very, very bare bones right now. And for those that don't know, if you ever are shopping for stuff and you want to, use my links so that the company knows that you watch the Clack Shack and maybe help get some more gear later in the future, then you could go here, and these are to all the major manufacturers that you see here on the channel. These are not resellers. These are direct manufacturers links. I've gotten away from going through any of the resellers or anybody. So you can do that as well. I don't ask for, memberships or anything like that, but it does help provide money for, softwares and giveaways and stuff like that when y'all use those links. And I do appreciate it. So, but that's the website. So you can add that to your favorites. Next time if you're going on Amazon to buy anything, feel free to go through the Clack Shack or Vintage Workshop's Amazon shop to make those purchases, and it'll let them know that we sent you. Helps us maintain that relationship with them, and they give us a few pennies off the transaction. It's not a lot, but it doesn't cost you any more to do that, so it's pretty cool. I got a bunch of people that I work with that actually will just use my links to be using them, because they're like, if I don't use your links, the money's just going to Amazon, so I'd rather use your links.
Yep. Yeah, a few comments about the tools and such. LA Hobby Guy, they do it. Yeah, they're using a software we're going to check out. And Stream Elements. One of the issues we run into is there's a lot of good tools if you're just doing a single stream to a single a destination, where we are multi-streaming to both our channels and often also to our Facebook sites as well. So we're trying to find a tool that kind of pulls everything back into one, to where everybody that's watching from anywhere can get involved without, jumping from here to there and whatnot. And so, yeah, we'll streamline it over the next few months. We might have some smaller test giveaway type things of, maybe some small packs of swag or something, just to kind of work the bugs out. But
yeah, like I said, I did put a shirt in the box with that as well, and some stickers. I even found some Vintage Workshop stickers sticking around my shop and throwed one of those.
You stole some of those from me?
No, they're stuck everywhere. All you got to do is just, but I did include one of those in the package so that my buddy Steve there is represented as well. So I want to do more of it. I like doing this. And like I said, there's other companies out there like Acemer. I'm really hoping they follow through with what they say they're going to do, which is once I make contact and get a shipping address, I'm going to forward it to them, and they're going to ship the honeycomb out. I hope they do that. And if they do, then maybe that's something that we could get, with Acemer, especially the next time they have something come out, maybe we could do a direct, like they could send me one and offer one for a raffle or for you or whichever. Because I think that's cool. Because guys, I've been in law enforcement for a long time to kind of, do my part for the community, and doing lasers and doing the stuff that I do with woodworking. You guys are really supportive of me and Steve, and I do appreciate it. And Steve can tell you, when you have as many machines as I do have friends here locally that help me do jobs that I have to take care of them, because like Klein dropped off some projects that he built for me the other day. So they get a lot of the stuff that comes into the shop to use. I've done a lot of it to schools, and gave it to a few local makers that I met whose machines tore up. And these are people that are on a fixed income, that are retired, disabled veterans, retired veterans, people like that. But I want to do it in the community as well, but I can't give everybody one. So doing the drawings is just it kind of helps, I think. So it's good it's fun to do. Burn carve print. The way that way that works is basically those links. Your browser kind of tracks certain things, and it keeps what's called cookies in the browser. And when you use an affiliate link, basically your browser recognizes that cookie and uses it kind of as hands it off to Amazon as you do your shopping. So even if you go look at, say, a laser, and you squirrel, like you said, and you decide you need a new vacuum cleaner instead, if you're looking at it during that session, or sometimes depending on how your cookies are set up, some people have it to where it deletes your cookie cache when you close the browser. Some browsers keep them for a week. Some browsers refresh them every time you visit. there are variables, but if you click that link, go to Amazon, and then you click something else, that still applies. So yes, pretty much anything that you would purchase during that visit would be credited to that link. Whether it's mine, whether it's Steve's or whoever's, it works the same. All the affiliate link stuff works basically the same. It just tells them where you came from. Like with Xtool and some of the other companies, even if you don't buy anything, just going and looking at some of this stuff helps our traffic, because it shows that we draw people to their website to at least look, even if you don't buy it, because they like to see, click throughs, people coming into their website. So that's how that works. But and Steve has. Do you have yours cached anywhere other than in your video descriptions? Like
My affiliate links.
yeah, like a place where they can go to like get to all of them.
Yeah, I have off. All right, well, I should just see if
Could
this
he
works.
hide?
Okay, my buttons aren't working. I off my website vintari.com, I have a support me link. I need to update it with a couple other, but I've got my Amazon links, my Etsy shop, Xtool, Atom Stack, Acemers, things like that on there. So
Yeah.
that those are direct links to those places as well. Otherwise, yeah, under all my videos, I usually have one or two Amazon links, and or if it's specific to that product, I'll have it linking straight there. So as
Yeah.
as you said, I always appreciate people using those, because it gives us a little bit of kickback without any extra cost. But I I don't like being a salesman, so I don't. It's probably bad on me that I'm not pushing some of these things harder, but I try to
Yeah.
just get information out there, and if people want to
Huh.
use it,
Atom Stack
that's
ain't working.
appreciated. So
Let me check that out. I may need to go back and fix my. I usually test those links, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Atom Stack may have changed the darn. You know how that goes.
yeah, yeah.
They may have changed the link on me. So let me go see. Somebody's saying my Atom Stack one ain't working. Let me click it and see here.
Well, while you're clicking that,
Well,
someone's
it
asking how
definitely
Brandy's doing
is
with the
not
screen printing.
we stay busy. She hasn't really had a chance to do a whole lot of it. She's played around with some other stuff. She bought her some more blanks. I think she did a couple, like a little onesies and stuff for some family, but our schedules conflicted, and so I didn't get to do any video with it really. So
So
she's not really like overly anxious to do it. Part of it, I think, is because we don't have really a workspace other than here in the shack. She's waiting on me to get a new building so she can have my shack.
she might be waiting a little
Um,
while.
well, yeah, probably, but
So I had hoped to have this video out this week, but just didn't get it all done. So hopefully maybe able to get it edited tomorrow. But I did do some work with both the hat press as well as the screen printer, and then threw in some DTF transfers as well. So the Xtool screen printer is kind of a nice thing for a hobbyist or a small business wants to add it as kind of into the mix, but it's not something that you're going to want to do, say, 50 or 100 repeat t-shirts on. I did an order of about 9 or 10, which was okay, but
yeah,
if you were doing a bunch of them, you'd probably want to get more of the full-fledged tree with better alignment tools and such. But this makes it super simple to make the screen, the design on the screen, and get a few things out. So
yeah. Let me give it just a second here.
North Alabama Barbecue Bullets and Big Rigs asking, will diodes mark brass casings like with Surmark spray? I haven't had the best luck with that. Brass, it part of the problem, I think, is to get that Surmark spray to work well, you do have to get a certain level of heat infusion with it. I think brass is a really good conductor of heat, and so that with a lot of diodes, it struggles. Now, it'd be interesting to try it with maybe the higher wattage ones, the 48 up to 70 watt ones, as well as the CO2 laser. But I've tried to mess around with brass casings a bit over in the past, and had some luck with the Surmark and the CO2 laser, but I haven't tried it recently with the higher power diodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I did I helped Tim do ACL casing with Ceramark, and it did okay, but it was for like a trophy thing. So it wasn't like it was going to be exposed to a lot of like wear and tear and so forth. I don't know how it would hold up long term, but I mean, it will market. I just don't know, long term staying where it's at. I don't know if that's going to be a big thing. Let's see if I got
Yeah.
this fixed. I think I
Up
got
north
it.
is commenting they got the screen printer and been flooded with interest. Lots of learning to be done. And yes, screen printing is an art. Knowing what you can make with the laser on the screens is an art. Well, it's a little more of a science, but it takes some trial and error on it. I've found certain detailed engravings are a little harder to work than your solid text or your very very like my logo would do a lot better than a fine detailed
Yeah.
line drawing logo unless you scale it up a bit. So it's definitely something that if you get one, you're going to want to play around a bit, and you can practice on paper, cardboard. It's not just fabric, but even then, when I was a little nervous because these were the guy I was working with provided the T-shirts because they were ones he liked, and I was like, well, I can't really screw them. I mean, I could get replacements, but I didn't want to screw them up. So it's
All right,
it takes some work.
you got a you got a you got a spammer on your side.
Do I?
I blocked him from the feed, but it's probably gonna break my chat. Yep, it broke my chat.
I'm not seeing it on mine unless it's coming from Facebook, and he dropped away.
Bumpy. That was bumpy. It broke my chat for a second.
Yeah, I'm not. Unless it might be coming in on Facebook, but I'm not seeing it from
Yeah,
YouTube.
I blocked it. I blocked it in here.
Okay,
So it should be
cool.
good.
Let's see what else we got here.
My moderator's not doing a real good job telling me where it's coming from.
I gotta scroll down on the chat, I guess. Yeah, flash dryer is a must with a screen printer. I used I've got this heat gun that I use for model airplane covering. It doesn't blow as much as a hair dryer was, but it gets hot, and it's for shrinking covering film. That kind of worked to, I would say, set the ink so I could move it. But yeah, there's a it's the rabbit hole of anything. You get the screen printer, and then you realize you need a flash dryer, and then you need a few other things. So
Yeah, because you had them setting all around. Oh well, she says it's on mine now. See, my moderator's kind of terrible. No, I'm just messing with her. I thought she had moderation authority on my Facebook too, but maybe not. But I'll handle it. I do think I fixed the problem with the Atom Stack link on my website while I was sitting here, though. So whoever that was, it was saying that it was broken.
someone mentioned the Carbide 3D link wasn't working either. So
What? Okay, well, I'm gonna go through my links here in a minute.
Yeah.
I tested it the other day. Okay, yeah.
So here's a question. Maybe you can help with. Jeremy Jordan Double J Patriotic Design. That's a name. Looking to make a flag for a local PD. Do you know of a site that has badges? Can't find a good image to trace.
Ooh, you can go to there's a lot of what I use to cheat, and don't tell anybody because I don't want them to get me on this. But a lot of times what I'll do is you can go to like a lot of these badge making companies, and they have virtual badge makers. That's basically a piece of software that you can pick from the different stuff that they offer, and you can design that badge. So basically what you've got to do is you go into that badge maker and design it, and you can get an image. Now, the problem with getting it as an image is you still are going to have to break that thing down into layers to be able to make it into a laserable file worth having. There are companies out there that you can send them, and I've got a buddy of mine that's got somebody he uses for this that does a really good job, and I guess I need to find out who it is. But you can send them a actual photograph, and they can design it and send you back a Lightburn file. And I don't know who he's got doing it, but I've seen some of his work, and they do a pretty good job with it. So I'll try to remember to check with him and see who it is, if it's a website or an individual, or what he's got going on with that. But yeah, that's a pain. I've got 2 or 3 departments right now that want me to do their badge, and they can't come up with the graphic. What I did at the PD for mine is we paid the badge company. We bought the artwork when they designed the badge. Uh, we bought the artwork. The PD did, so that we could use it for our own stuff. And I think it cost us like $300 or $400 to buy the artwork. So we have copies of it to use for print and media and all that. We have both the realistic image, which is just a PNG, as well as more of a layered, like Adobe Illustrator format that I was able to get my hands on. So, but that's the best way if you get it from the people that make the badges. But some of them either don't want to sell it to you, or they just want a crazy amount of money for it.
Yeah, anytime you work with someone on creating artwork for you, try to make sure you get the vector copy of it, not just the raster. So very much more helpful when you're trying
Yeah.
to work with it later. So Dennis is commenting, he loves your video on the Niji Max 40 20 watt. Looks like a real winner for the price, and may have made up his mind for the first laser.
Cool. Yeah,
So,
it's that was one of the first Z-axes that I felt like was usable from from somebody that does laser engraving. The Z-axis on it actually works really well once you figure out that it's basically how high off the work area do you want it to go. The way I had mine set up, and it worked really well. And I haven't tried the ink pen and the cutter and all that stuff for it because I'm kind of interested in the lasers, but yeah, not a bad machine. I think you'll enjoy it. The linear rails on the on the on the X axis is pretty cool.
yeah, I've got the version 3. Before that, it doesn't have the Z addressable or the motorized Z axis, and it was a very nice laser. It's definitely one that if you like to tweak and tinker with, I think they make it a little more open.
Yeah, it is more customizable than a lot of
It's
them are.
more that way. So, so definitely keep in mind that it is more of a tinkerer's laser than. So you're gonna want to be a little mechanically inclined to be okay with open boards and some stuff, but it's not. The downfall to them, I think, if I remember, is their build manual is pretty small in print to begin with.
Yeah, but
And
the videos help.
so yeah,
They had a pretty good video.
they have a pretty good one. There's one other person, I think it was maybe Buster Beagle or someone, did a really good kind of walkthrough on building one of the earlier Nijis that kind of, I think it plays into most of them. So if you do get it and you're looking to build it, definitely check out the build videos on it.
All right, there's your good one. Oh, I did see North Alabama where you said you came through and started to stop. If you're ever coming through the area, feel free to message me on Facebook. Shoot me an email. If you shoot me an email, you better shoot me an email a few days ahead of time. I just recently had some folks. I met them in town. Went to get something to eat. Have a bite or whatever. I have no problem with that. Now, I do kind of like a little notification before you pull up in the driveway. But yeah, if you're ever going to be down this way, just feel free to give me a ring, and we'll go get a barbecue sandwich or a hot hamburger or some chicken livers.
And if you do park at his place, just do a walk around. Make sure he hasn't put stickers on your vehicle before you leave.
But there's your question right there. What's the difference in a vector and a raster?
So vector images are basically made up of points, and so it's more of a mathematical equation for the image, in that it knows that it has a point here and a point there and a point here, and that you can scale that up and scale it down. It doesn't lose any resolution, whereas raster is made up of pixels, a bunch of little dots. And when you scale them up or scale them down, those dots scale up and they scale down. So your resolution really can't be increased without some software to kind of fake it, versus having a direct vector. So the nice thing with vector is it can either be a line or it can be a solid. So you can have, you can tell it to cut along this line on this image, versus a raster. you can do a trace where it's going to try to approximate what the line is, but it's never going to be perfect without some follow cleanup. So
That was a
that's
really good explanation, Steve. I got to give you that one.
that's the basic difference between them.
That was easy. That was easy. That was a good one. Yeah. Rosters are going to be more like a photo. Like if you take an old crummy photo with your old Nokia and try to blow it up, it's just not gonna work. Oh, he got some studying to do. Oh, he got some studying to do. Oh, see who's it. Oh, there it is. Kevin, the biggest difference is going to be the speed, but basically the laser is produced in a different manner. It's produced typically somewhere in the other half of the machine where all the electrical components are. Then it travels through a piece of fiber optic cable up to where it is aimed at a mirror, and that mirror basically it just sits there and moves, and it directs the laser as it turns, which is where it gets the name galvo, which is a galvanometer, which is the name for the little mirror that's kind of on a pedestal. And it speeds the speeds that you get will be a lot faster. But the one thing about galvos where they differ a lot, the biggest difference between a galvo and just a regular, like one of the CO2s or one of the diodes, is the focal length of the usable focus area is significantly shorter. So you kind of got to make sure that whatever you're engraving, it is focused really close. It's less forgiving. The diodes, you can raise those up 2 or 3 millimeters and it's no big deal. If you raise a galvo up 2 or 3 millimeters, it's not going to have the desired effect. A lot of times, work area is typically smaller, but the speeds are up into like just crazy speeds. But the frequency of the light is the biggest difference between a fiber, like that 60-watt MOPO you're talking about, versus a blue diode. The wavelength of that diode or that laser is going to interact with metals, whereas blue diodes and even CO2s can do some stuff with stainless, but for like regular steel, CO2s really don't do a whole lot other than just mark it with some kind of secondary spray or marking agent. What are you working on over there?
I was just, my computer was complaining about something plugged in on USB, so it was disconnecting phones that were charging on it.
Still haven't got an email back. We might wind up with
Flash just went up there, but didn't quite answer it. James was asking, just extended my X-Tool D1 Pro. Is there a file to use to check the alignment?
Squares and circles.
So yeah, first off, if you've got a framing square, you can check the frame to try to make sure that the overall frame is square. And then you can move your gantry to one extent or other. You want to make sure that they're kind of touching the end stops, and that you don't have the belts off. From there, you can, if you there's a few people that have made them, but it's a few circles and maybe a few squares. You run that job a few different times. You don't have to burn it very dark, but you just want it to go over it multiple times, and you want to see, is it in alignment? Both are the corners square and they the right length, and are they following the same path? You'll start seeing if maybe something's loose, or if anything's if you're not getting right angles that way. So really, you can create your own. Do like a 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, maybe a 6-inch square in a circle, and just run those multiple times to see if it's coming out in square corners, and then also on the same path. I feel like you're getting ready for a demonstration.
Yeah, I'll show you one that's got some jam up speed and cornering. Give me just a second. But yeah, it's it's a very simple little test that you do. That's right, wireless, baby. All right, here we go. All right, so I've got some material over here in the machine, and see, I keep mine. This is my little test that I use is right here. I'm going to drop that in the work area, and that's all you got to have. That is literally all you need. Let me frame that up. All right, so if you really want to check them, we're not going to run this one at 800. We will run it at 500. And I'm going to step this down to 10 passes. But basically what you want to do, like I said, Steve said, is make sure it goes to the same spot. So let me swap you back over to the camera view. And here we go. So basically what it's doing is it's running that same shape over and over and over and over again, 10 times. Each line is getting ran 10 times. If there was any slack in those belts, especially at those speeds, you would see the machine, you'll see it in the engrave. So that's what I'm trying to make sure I didn't cut everything off. It got quiet. Oh, Steve bailed. Okay, that's why I wasn't hearing Steve. But yeah, it takes it a little while to run it because I'm running 10 passes, but that is the MK2 from Algo Laser. And I did this test the other day when I was going through testing everything just to make sure, because if the belts aren't consistent, you will start seeing, instead of having one line, you'll have like 10 lines in each pass that it's supposed to do. So Mad Zeus, yeah, we did hit it the halfway mark. But I've then sent the email out. So matter of fact, 10 passes may have been excessive. All right, let me stop it. Hang on. 10 passes was a little excessive here. But because it's going so fast, it didn't mark it really, really solid. But you can see in the corners, because I was going so insanely fast, the corners didn't make it. But all the lines are stacked on top of each other. If you did it a little slower, it would be probably a better demonstration. I shouldn't have went that fast with it. But doing 10 passes, if it wasn't exact, it wouldn't have even marked. You'd have like 10 individual lines. Typically, I do it at normal operating speed, which would be about 250, because you're not going to be doing much over 250, whether it's engraving or lines. But anyway, let me put this back in there, run it the right way while we talk. I had it on 20 passes because I was slinging the crap out of it the other day. I put it on one pass and do it at 200 millimeters a second, which is a good speed for this machine. And it's still pretty fast. There we go. And this actually will do the whole gamut. It turns, All right, guys. Questions, comments, concerns, cracks on Steve. I haven't seen Clack bobblehead back there anywhere. Did I get recycled? Yeah, I told Brandy, she asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I told her you know what I didn't do? Focus the machine. I have gotten spoiled with that Atom stack. Spoiled.
Yeah. Well, an interesting, I threw out a poll on my channel earlier this week, asking people what's on their wish list for their workshop, and got about 110 votes. And the one that's in the lead of 38% of them was a CO2 laser. And the choices were a diode laser, a CO2 laser, galvo fiber laser, or CNC router, which are kind of some of the common things. I mean, I could have thrown a 3D printer in there, but kind of felt like these are the ones we focus on. So I was kind of curious what everybody's been looking to, maybe as their first or the additional tool in them. So interesting to see that almost 40% of the people are looking at CO2 lasers.
Cool. Yeah. No wonder it didn't mark that first go around. I had it like an inch out of focus. It didn't do much marking the second go around either. But yeah, I was doing cutting boards last time. But there's my little test grid that I do. But you do need to focus it, or else you get what looks like a bandsaw cut.
Yep.
And it didn't penetrate but like a third of the way through the material. But yeah, there's a lot of little, basically squares and circles, especially if you run them multiple passes, are going to show you those. So belt tensions, on most of the machines, belt tension's really forgiven. The heavier the module, it seems that's when they start getting finicky about too tight or not tight enough.
So yeah, I threw that poll out there to kind of just gauge to see where everybody's at. We've been doing a lot with diode lasers, and I mean the part of the crux is now they've come out with they keep leapfrogging themselves. These Atom Stack and IKEA are 70-watt lasers, and we're seeing 60-watt from a few other places as well. In some veins, that starts pushing what some of the CO2s can do as far as power and speed in some materials. So,
Yeah.
but I've had conversations with people in the past where, the CO2 laser, yeah, you can get higher power. Sometimes you can get faster speed, and you can, play with the acrylic. But the way a diode burns versus a CO2, you can actually get different, even take the spot size out of it and the detail bit, you get a different type of burn out of the diode than the CO2. And so it can have a different effect and a different look just in and of that self. So sometimes that's the thing is being able to figure out, when you've built yourself up to be able to add an additional machine, sometimes it's not about a whole different type of material, but just a different way of interacting with that same material. So.
Yeah, and diodes on some materials, to me, the diode, the way that it colors and shades, is better than a CO2. Because I can use the P2 and do a job, and it won't be as dark,
Yeah,
as an engrave as it will with a diode. So it's you kind of need to have a little bit of both, in my opinion, to be able to fully try everything. You kind of need both.
yeah. Yeah, Sam,
It'd be nice if somebody came out. It'd be nice if somebody came out with a CO2 that would work like with several different frequencies of laser, all in one machine. Which I'm sure they'd make them, but we probably can't afford them. Like where you could flip a switch and it would go from, CO2 wavelengths of 455 to IR to, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, having those different. I mean, basically, you have to have the different laser sources in there. So, they all have their pluses and minuses, and for doing one-off stuff, doing smaller stuff, these diodes will do a lot. If you're getting into production where you need to make, like back when I was making kits of things, and I'd be needing to run off 20 of them. The CO2 was king at that because it had a bigger working area. I would just set it and go, pull the material off, swaps a bit, and hit restart. So, so they all have their purposes and such, but you got to kind of figure out which one is going to do the majority of yours within your budget. So, but that being said, there's with the level of interest in the CO2s, I'm hoping to be able to between, my old one and the X tool to try to put out a little more information on there. I mean, that's kind of my roots in shifting my channel from an RC channel to more of a workshop channel was doing some videos around my old CO2 laser and between just the basic operation, some things bed leveling and maintenance to changing the tube, things like that were some of the videos that I started out doing more of, and then kind of dove into some of these others.
Yeah, this is the only real thing that I keep a CO2 around for is acrylics.
Yeah.
I like the diodes on everything else for the most part, but acrylics you can't do that with a diode. So you gotta have one, and that's also keeping down the wear and tear on my my machine. I do use it for occasionally for other wood jobs, but I find that the work area is not it's not big enough for me. I'm spoiled. I'm used to the X40, so I'll just throw stuff in the X40. Now the cutting boards, typically I do those back here on the MK, or like today I did the ones that I did today. I actually did on this machine, and these haven't been cleaned or washed or anything. So this is using the Algo Laser MK2 on bamboo, and I did all those today.
I think you have some sort of witch voodoo going on there with bamboo in your boards, 'cause I hate them. They are
Test.
so inconsistent. I don't care if you test. I mean, you got the grain and such in there. They're just never. It's too random of material to have a consistent burn on them. I think you definitely have. I don't know.
Oh, look at that. And it's actually engraved. You can feel it. Like it's in there a little bit.
So I mean, the thing that, and I mean, you touched on it, that you get a darker engrave with the diodes, but conversely, it's easier to get a more efficient, cleaner cut with the CO2. And so, especially when I'm doing model airplane work, people don't want to have too much caramelization on the edges of their wing ribs, because a lot of times that's where your glue joints are. And if you have too much caramelized wood, the wood glue or the CAs don't like to work as well. The fibers don't bond together as well. So just one small example where in one vein you want that darker contrast look, and the other one it's like, no, I want it to blast away without scorching the heck out of it. It's kind of like people and their marshmallows. Some people like to toast them, some people like to burn them.
Yeah. Well, I've got, like I said, but with my enclosures and the air and everything, I've got them set up where they do a pretty decent job. But yeah, you are going to have a little more black in the cuts with the diodes.
Yeah, I mean, pick your material. I'm usually able to get a lighter, cleaner edge on it with the CO2 versus the diode. Even if they're all cutting through and you get them at their tweak settings, it's just a different wavelength, having a more efficient burn. But like you say, the engraving, it's a detriment.
Yeah, Jason said he loves them. Said his cutting boards come out awesome and people love them. Yeah, I buy those things. I usually buy about 24 or so a month. So, and I've been using that same Amazon link to buy. Like, I've got it now to where Echo just asked me like once a month, are you ready to reorder cutting boards, or you ready to reorder handles for stove covers or whatever. And I can't get off of those. People keep trying to get me to go to a different brand, but those I've had really good luck with. Out of all the ones I've bought, I think I've had like 2 that had a problem. Like one of them had a little chip knocked out of it that I wound up using as a tester. But out of the several hundred that I've bought, that's not bad. Like I said, it's not bad at all. And the return on investment with those things is awesome.
Yeah. Sparky's asking, is it possible to create a program on a desktop Windows 10 with Lightburn and then save to thumb drive to run on these lasers? Or are you stuck with running a laser program with the laptop? The problem is the laser needs it needs some form of controller. Now, some of them have an offline controller that will read a file off of a storage device. So like the Atom Stacks have the little touch screen on the front. Some of them, like SculptFun and others, have like a Wi-Fi app where you might be able to send a G-code file to it. But it needs something to be sending it that information. So if you're looking for that, I would look at some of the laters, like I mentioned, Atom Stack. The newer ones have just a USB storage. You plug that in, you browse through the touchscreen and bring up that G code file, and then you can run that. But not all of them have that. So it's kind of machine dependent, and more so than anything you could create on your computer. But yeah, it has to have some sort of controller to feed it the information.
Check something here. Yeah, one thing that this other machine as well is, like I said, with it being Wi-Fi, I was going to show you what the interface looks like through the web URL, but I had to power it back on. Yeah, I thought that was the IP address. But yeah, you can run offline controller with a lot of these machines. You don't have to have it necessarily connected when you're burning, but you're going to have a computer to design your files or either download the files or whatever. But this one has a pretty cool interface built into the front of it, and it actually has preview, which the preview's it needs some work, but I can't get it. I got it connected to Lightburn, so I'm not going to be able to do that right now. But yeah, it's Mickey, I'll be honest with you, I see the next wave of machines. I see them actually more machines getting involved with being able to run them through Lightburn. Also, if they follow suit with the Lasermatic, I know the Lasermatic typically, Leo told me that the boards are very similar to the boards that are in the Algo laser. So I'm guessing that wherever their provider is or their supplier, when they get the next wave, I know Leo has said that the MK2, the next one, the MK3 or whatever they're coming out with, is going to be more controllable through Lightburn with Wi-Fi. So I'm guessing that they're getting the boards the same place that Algo does. And that would be, that, because I know the last machines, even Rich was saying that the boards are very similar that are in the Algos and the MK2s for Rolly. So I think I think we're fixing to see where they start using 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi and do a lot better job of being on the network instead of just having to be accessed through using them as a WAP to where you can't really, because I have it to where I can connect to them either way because I have a Wi-Fi card in my computer and I run my internet off of the Ethernet. But that whole access point mode is just glitchy. I like the way that this new MK2 works much better. Even Atom Stack, as much as I love their machines, they do not work well over Lightburn through Wi-Fi.
So Burn Carve Print is commenting that have not seen any new CNC videos lately.
Well, how far back's lately? Because I've been doing some shorts. I hadn't been doing a whole lot of long stuff, but I've been staying busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just a bit behind on things. Like I mentioned, that I haven't really gotten a chance to do. I didn't get out to the shop really much all this week, but I do have some things I want to do and get some videos out on them with both the larger Onefinity as well as the Genmitsu as well. So can't say when because I don't want to predict anything in my schedule lately because life has kept me busy, and that doesn't always mean workshop time, but there will be some.
Yeah.
I definitely love my CNC machines, and we'll get that out there. But yeah, it's been a little bit. The last thing I did was actually just the wireless module for the Genmitsu, which works pretty well. Might actually help me get more things going with it. But
I did my my 4-month review on my Shipoko about 2 weeks ago on the 13th. So it hadn't been too terribly long as far as like a video about a CNC, but that wasn't really a project or anything.
yeah, got to get more.
I want to do
more projects out there.
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of hybrid projects to where I use the CNC and the lasers because there's a lot of folks that have glow forges and have other machines that do in my area that do certain projects, but a lot of them can't do. Like I did a 20-inch little door sign the other day that I did, and I managed to do the outline on the laser, but I had to make it a two-piece design that glued back together when I put it on the wheel. But I need to do more, but it's been a little busy. It's been a little hectic, and yeah, I just hadn't got around to doing it. What video editing software? I think we're both running Adobe.
Yep. Yeah, Adobe Premiere and Premiere Rush. But and that's, you know, if you're using some of their products for design work, you may already have access to it depending on what level of Creative Suite you have. But it you know, sometimes when you're already buying part of their package, it's easy to add that on, and so that works pretty well. But you know, a lot of people talk about getting started in YouTube and what should they get for camera gear and software and whatnot. You know, if you've got an iPhone, a recent iPhone, I mean, it's got what is it? It's not Movie Maker. That's the old iMovie. You could do a lot of editing. I know some people that run their whole channel off their phone.
That's what I say. I used it for the first, probably about a year, because I was just doing videos to have fun. I wasn't really, getting that involved in it. But then when you start trying to bring different cameras in and stuff like that, that's when you have to move up.
Yeah.
But it started to get late. It's almost 9 o'clock, guys.
Yeah, we're running up on the end here.
No, Brad, right now I'm still testing this machine, running it through the paces. And so if you look right over there on top of the CNC, the A70 is just parked over there for right now. It's temporary because I don't have a testing enclosure to put it in. So what I do is I'll usually just take whatever machine's in here, I'll disconnect it, set it to the side, put the other one in. I've still got like all my little mounting hardware and stuff. If you look in the back, you can still see my little atom stack feet are still mounted in there. This machine's so much smaller than the other one that all I had to do was mount the holder for the algo in there in between the other ones. So it is a good machine for engraving, but yeah, I've got to have my 70 back because I was wanting to cut some 1/2-inch plywood. Was it last night? And I was like, man, I got my machine out. So I wound up setting it up on a CNC and just using the CNC. But the 70 watt would have done a lot faster job of cutting that plywood because I ain't got to worry about hold downs. You ain't got to, zero everything. It's a lot quicker with the 70 watt if I'm cutting 1/2-inch material to just throw a piece of it in there and rip it out. So I do want to get it back in there. I do have a spot up here where I will be putting the algo laser because, like I said, with their machines, I kept the original algo laser alpha hanging right there because I use it when I'm doing real fast engraving, such as tables and stuff like that. It is a really, really good engraving machine. The algo laser alpha, the MK2, and the Otur LM3 were probably the 3 fastest engraving machines I've ever had in the shop as far as how they navigate through the work area. I think the Otur has got kicked out of the running now because this latest algo laser is super, super fast. So
yeah, and I need to get I kind of have the same problem. My 70 is sitting on the Onefinity over here. I need to build that enclosure for it, but what I'm wanting to do is actually in my basement workshop area, I need to rebuild the benches and shelving as well, so I can get some things out of here so I can work that. So that's where I'm kind of backlogged on some things because I know some people have asked me about more projects and such with the Atom Stack 70. It's definitely going to stay in my rotation to working with, but I just need to get things set up better so that I can be using them as needed. So I'm just grabbing now.
I was trying to find a picture of this a while ago, but I couldn't find a picture. So, Whoa, look at that! Look at that right there. What kind of wood do you think that is, Steve?
That's, I don't know, like your whatever cheap Luan stuff from.
No, that's actually 1/2-inch birch.
Oh, okay.
I did it on a CNC, but they wanted it to look like it was a wall. And so I laid the file out to where I could do me some little, just like basically almost like a siding type of thing.
So just the base layer is the.
Yes, the base
Okay.
layer is the 1/2 inch.
Mhm.
Now the outer, all of this other stuff, yeah, it's that cheap cheap Luan that I use that I love so much.
Mhm.
And got it put together. And look at that. Whoop, whoop, got a little hanger. I put that a little low, but it's yeah. I'm gonna have to reevaluate that. I don't usually use
Don't slam
those.
that door.
Yeah, I don't usually use those, but I've got to go back and reevaluate that. It works, but they're wanting to put it over the baby bed when they get through with the door. So I don't know how high the hook on the door is going to be. So I was going to let them adjust it as needed. But
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
may have to revisit that. But that's like 4 or 5 coats of polyacrylic after it was all put together. That's why it's got that nice little glisten to it.
Mhm.
I thought it turned out pretty nice though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I
mean, even with the misspellings.
there's no misspellings. The bear is on the second layer, and then of course I had to add some green trees to the third layer to make it look like it's a shadow off in the forest or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool.
You guys have bears down there?
No, that was what they wanted in the design.
I was gonna say, I thought that was the thing up here. Instead of being drowned by an alligator, we get bear hugged.
Now we do have some bears. They're just few and far between. You go up North Alabama, they've got a few up there right before you get to Tennessee, and you go down to South Alabama, they got a few of the little small black bears down there that come up from Florida. For some reason in Alabama, we typically kill all stuff like that like years ago, and so they have to slowly migrate back into Alabama. Now we got plenty of armadillos if you need one of those.
Yeah, I noticed. You get south of St. Louis, and the roadkill switches from raccoons and squirrels to armadillos.
Yeah, Chris, I'm not sure the hospital's going to let them put a screw in the door of their hospital room. That's I'm working with an unknown. I don't know how they're going to attach it to the hospital door yet. Because they're wanting it to take to the hospital when the baby is born. And then after the baby is born, it's going to the nursery. So, yeah. And because it's made out of 1/2 inch material, I didn't feel like, command strips would necessarily be advisable. So I don't know. I'm just going to come up with some options for them. They'll figure that out. But I thought it looked pretty good though. I worked pretty hard on that one.
Cool.
Well, I got lucky and went to Tractor Supply here a while back. Now I've used up a bunch of them, but I went to Tractor Supply here recently, and as I was about to exit, they had this little sale aisle thing set up at Tractor Supply, and I found these for $2.39 each. Or $2.99. My bad. So they had these little kits, and they had them marked on clearance for $2.99, and it's got like every little hanging apparatus that you can think of. And so like you get all these little hanging apparatuses. And so I bought all of them because I'm always needing stuff like this, to be able to put on the back of stuff. And for $3, I mean, each box comes with several of these little guys. And then they have, like all the different methods. So yeah, so I bought like the whole pile of those things. And I'm slowly working through them. And the cool thing is you can keep these little boxes, and they are good for putting screws and stuff like that in as well. I got friends that took my little boxes away once they empty them.
Yeah, after a while you get too many of those, but yep.
Oh, I've got a pile of them over there still. But there's always somebody coming over going, "Oh, you got anything I can put these in?" I'm like, "Here, put them in this."
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, upcycling, man.
that little hardware is I had to try to find when I was doing the graduation frame and had used the thinner material in the first run. Finding screws that are shorter than 3/8 of an inch is a little tricky. So I had to find some picture frame hardware at one of the local craft stores. that so that they wouldn't stick through. Yeah, but so it's good to find those and grab them because, like you say, sometimes you just need a few bits out of them, but they're hard to find outside of those. But
Yep.
so
All right, guys. Well, it has been 2 hours and 5 minutes. Like I said, if I don't hear back from Barb, then we may have another little go at it. But I feel like everybody is gonna. I feel like she's gonna get back with me. I mean, I know people have stuff going on. I do plan. Hopefully, next time we can come up with a way of having it more live and involved in the chat itself. But we're gonna have to swap over to that software to have that capability. So hopefully that'll be in just in time for Christmas for our Christmas giveaway. Maybe we can have at least have it up and going and do a Christmas giveaway because I do plan on doing the same thing we did last Christmas with the Amazon. That was painless because I don't have to ship anything. And I'm also, me and Steve have talked about trying to do some, maybe ever so often do like a honeycomb giveaway or a fan or, something cool. Well, kind of like what I did last time where I list like 4 or 5 things and you just pick what you want and then we'll drop ship it out to you. So once we incorporate it and get all the bugs worked out, that may be something coming soon. But yeah, Christmas is right around the corners, guys. And if you're not already thinking about what you're going to do for Christmas, you're probably too late. And I know Steve and I have talked about trying to come up with a way of helping you guys that are trying to sell things or make things. We're going to try to come up with a video. I guess you could say we could call it a Christmas camp. It could be like a Christmas camp between the two of us, to where we try to come up with ideas to help you guys that do events or that want to try to get in the stream of things that people are going to want to buy this Christmas. But like I said, next week, hopefully I will be releasing a video on my event setup and the things that I plan to take to an event that I've got coming up June the 8th here in Chilton County, Alabama, the Peach Jam, which it's going to be a big one. Usually it's 10,000 or better people there. So it's going to be a big one. And I'm hoping that the little F1 helps me increase my productivity and being able to get those things and turn them out quick this year, as opposed to using the D1 last year. It was okay, but I did get a little congested at my table for a while there. So what you got going on, Steve?
well, yeah. Speaking of all that, I literally this evening just got invited to one of the holiday fairs. So yeah, if it's not on your radar, it will be shortly or should be. So we're going to see what we can do to get some content and ideas out for people around that to help hopefully kickstart some of your. Sometimes that's. I've hit it too, where you get like writer's block, creative block, where you're like, I can't. Trying to come up with something, and so hopefully throw some ideas out there to help people have some quick wins. Otherwise, what's coming up sooner? I don't know. I don't know that I have any events right now that are coming up, but I will let people know whether they're meetups or other things in this area. More of those tend to be in the fall that I attend. But I'm hoping to get back out here. Like I mentioned, I got enclosures to build, workbenches to build, and then that'll make it easier for me to jump into, working with the various lasers and getting the CNCs going back again on some projects, because that's what I'm itching to do, is get some more fun projects going. So hopefully over the next few weeks, we'll get that rolling.
Yeah. And I know, like I said, for our Christmas thing, some of the stuff that you guys see, we may be revisiting things that we've showed you guys before, in Christmas, because I know I've got a whole bunch of different Christmas ornaments and stuff that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to try to come up with a few new designs and stuff. I know Steve's little fireplace, it wouldn't be Christmas without us at least having another video about Steve's little fireplace that he did. Maybe we could do an iPad version of it this time around, to go along with the the cell phone version.
Well, we'll see. Maybe get a Black Friday sale on one of these 32-inch TVs and really scale it up.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. You'd have to have a big laser though, a big one. But you'd probably have to break out the CNC.
Cut it out on the CNC.
Yeah. But anyway, if you got any ideas, questions, or anything, guys, feel free to message myself or Steve. If you hadn't already, go hit the subscribe buttons. There should be links to both of us' channels down below. I know some of you guys may be new. You may have just found us, and if you did, I hope you enjoyed the stay. I hope it wasn't too boring. We do answer questions, so if the questions were boring, then we're gonna blame you guys because y'all bring the questions. We just answer them. So hopefully. Next week we can start venturing into the fall Christmassy designs and come up with what we're going to be doing. Whew. And I got to go eat. My wife made me some stuffed peppers from the garden today, and she texted me and was like, "Oh, I forgot to bring them out to you or call you and let you know." Jack, I would love to give everybody some honey. I do have friends that sell honey around here. But I don't sell a whole lot. I did manage to, a buddy of mine had a bunch of blueberries, and he had like a big bucket of blueberries, and he wanted some honey, and so I wanted some blueberries, and so we worked up a swap. And so I got rid of one of my jars of honey, so now I've got to pull more. But since adding my bee refrigerator, that's going to make my turnaround on my honey a lot quicker because Brandy did not like me putting parts of beehives in the household refrigerator, so I had to like double bag them in garbage bags and all that. So now I've got my own freezer out here, and I think that's going to speed up the operation. But we'll see. Maybe a bee video coming the next week or two. But I'm gonna try to get something out with the CNC. But guys, I just it's been tough lately, so we'll see. No, Paul, we've been at it for 2 hours, man. We can't stay all night. I gotta go get some sleep. As you can tell by my hair all disarrayed. It's been a long day. I got dirt and junk on me. Need to get a shower, get something to eat. And but I will be off work tomorrow, so there could be a pop-up. So if you're sitting around the shop not doing anything, check in. There may be a little pop-up video here and there. But until next time. And Steve?
Yeah. We'll see y'all